Hi everyone, I'm Leah and welcome to my podcast Living and Losing. Today I have got the most exciting guest. About a year ago I really got into the idea of surfing, but I was still on my weight loss journey back then. Surfing became my ADHD hyperfixation, and then I come across the amazing Elizabeth, who is a body positivity curvy surfer girl.
Thank you so much for coming on, honestly.
Seriously, thank you for being so accommodating. I woke up this morning and we were gonna go surfing and the ocean was a lake.
Like completely flat.
Yeah, completely flat. And this super sweet, super fan of Curvy Surfer Girl had flown out to surf with me from Reno, Nevada.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, okay, darling, we're not gonna disappoint you. We're gonna go, snorkeling instead. Because they had flown so far out. And so I drove them from Waikiki to the western side of the island, which was an hour drive. We snorkeled for an hour and then it was an hour drive back, which is why I was like, oh God, I'm not going to be able to make all of this happen within the time frame I'd anticipated.
Have they ever snorkeled before?
Not how I had taken them out in the ocean. I took them like a quarter mile offshore. They saw 4 gigantic turtles, schools of fish. I took like all these GoPro clips of them underwater with the turtles and taught them how to dive, and they had the time of their life.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and they just got engaged yesterday. So I was like, oh
Wow.
my gosh, I've really got to do something for them because I'm not going to let them go home without any fun ocean memories.
That's amazing. So, like, engagement, and then they got to swim with turtles. How amazing is that?
Like really, like a lot of them too, which I was thrilled that they all.
They knew it. It was meant to be. I do
Yeah.
believe everything happens for a reason. So maybe that's why there was no waves, so they could go and swim with turtles instead.
Yeah, they said it was on their bucket list, and I was like, well, I can make that dream come true. So let's go.
I've always loved the ocean since I was little. I was always obsessed with mermaids when I was younger, always wanted to be in the ocean. And I remember when I was like 4 or 5, I wrote a letter to King Triton, like Ariel's dad in The Little Mermaid. I was like 4 or 5 and got my sister to take me to a post box so I could post the letter, and I addressed it the ocean. It was probably misspelt completely because I was only little, asking him to turn me into a mermaid. So I grew up by the sea. I'm actually from Wales, not England. So I grew up by
Oh,
the coast.
wow.
Like, I always feel like my most self in the sea. Like, I don't know what it is, but when I'm in the sea, like, I just feel amazing. And then I watched this show like a year ago called Surviving Summer. And when I watched that, I was like, this feels like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I just completely deep delved into it. But I was halfway through like my weight loss journey at the time.
Okay.
I was about 250 pounds when I first got the idea of surfing, and I didn't see anyone that had a body like mine. And then I come across you. Um, and then that was just changed everything for me. I was like, she can do it, so can I. The only reason I've not done it sooner is because I had to have like skin removal surgeries and stuff like that. It was always like the fear of getting an injury and then delaying things. Today, I was like, I'm going to book a session, I'm going to book my lesson, I'm going to do it. So, yeah, that's how I come across you. And I just found all your videos really inspiring.
That makes me so happy to hear. You honestly have no idea. This was my entire mission from day one. I mean, you clearly know my story, right? I started out surfing at my heaviest, and I have an autoimmune disease, so my weight has consistently fluctuated up and down for the last, for really my entire adult life. I'm 34 this year, so really the last 15 years, I've gone from living in a smaller body to a larger body and then back down to a smaller body. And it just extreme weight fluctuations from medications and autoimmune complications. But when I started my surfing journey, I was at my heaviest, and this was long before the body positive movement. This was when, women were just like, yeah, I'm too fat to do this, and that is what it is. Or, you just had to accept the consequences of doing things fat and being an outcast. And that was also very much the reality because this consciousness stream was not really present at the time when I started surfing back in 2017. That movement just had not gained traction yet until closer to like the end of really 2019 is when body positivity mainstream started taking off. We saw Ashley Graham on the cover of Sports Illustrated. It was the rise of the curvy and plus size influencer models. The concept of sports and body positivity hadn't been combined yet either. The plus size models were almost exclusively making lingerie and like skimpy swimwear content.
I'm with you.
So this concept of being in a plus size body and then being a content creator in the sports industry just was not a thing yet at all. The plus size and curvy women that were doing social media in 2019 and 2020 were getting big from doing the sexy angle and, you know, kind of like the women's empowerment. I'm beautiful, I'm bold. But it was really just wearing lingerie and revealing swimwear. That was great. I think that that was like a good starting point for everybody. And then I was like, okay, well, I don't want to be some boudoir lingerie swimsuit model. I mean, it's inspiring, but I'm an athlete. I dive, I surf, I sail, I do all of these, you know, sports. And I wanted to see someone reflected back that was doing a very intense level of athletics just in a larger body. That was really not a phenomenon that was happening when I had started Curvy Surfer Girl and leading up to it. So even though I live in a smaller body today, I do remind people that for long periods of my life and years, I have been in the larger form of this body dealing with the same thing. It's all part of the journey.
Same with me.
I was about to say, you would really know because my best friend also has a similar story to you. You know, going through these big transformations, I don't think people realize the psychological toll it takes either. Whether you are gaining weight or losing weight, it's still a very big psychological shift that has its immense challenges and emotional highs and very low lows.
Yeah.
Even if you are getting closer to societal beauty expectations. I'm sure you can speak on that.
Yeah, like I may have lost 170 pounds, but I still show my loose skin. Like I embrace my body, and I never had weight loss surgery to be skinny or for societal reasons. I had it for health reasons because I got to 350 pounds. So like my health was really bad. I try and celebrate more what I've gained than what I've lost.
Yeah.
All the things I can do now. I did see some comments that you received like, can you really be branded as curvy anymore? And I'm just like, you get hate comments no matter what you do. Who cares what other people think?
Yeah, it's definitely been a really tough transition the last year because it was about last year that I think it's been a little bit more than a year that I lost about 60 pounds due to both like medication, diet, and lifestyle changes that were required to combat the autoimmune disease I have. You know, I've talked very openly about it and I've just been as transparent as I can be. And I've said, look, you know, I get it. Everybody knows me in a larger body for the most part on this platform, and change is hard, but it doesn't mean the mission is any different. Like inspiring women at any and every size has always been the objective. If you look at all of the group campaigns I've ever done, there is size and body diversity within every one of them from day one.
Nobody's body stays the same. So even if you went on and lost more weight, nobody could ever say that your movement or your purpose has changed because it's not. Like you're still pushing it out there and like celebrating everyone and where you've actually helped other people surf and like gain their confidence as well. I just love it. Like your whole vibe, like everything about you and what you do. I love it.
Thank you. It's really important to me. I genuinely derive so much joy from women finding and discovering their own power, and that the stories and the narratives that we've been told for the last 100 years surrounding ocean sports and ocean recreation, they're just myths and lies, and they got so deep in our subconscious that they became these limiting beliefs that we self-imposed. Because I have taken women out from genuinely every size demographic that you can think of. I have had a woman that was a 5XL, the most beautiful soul ever, stunningly, like physically beautiful woman. And people are like, there's no way that she can surf. And I'm like, watch. Your body is not a limiting factor in the ocean. It is your mind. Your mind is what's going to determine whether or not you're going to do anything in the ocean or in life. And as long as you want to be out there and you know that there's people that can assist you along the way, you will surf, you will learn how to dive, You'll learn how to do anything you want to do with the body that you currently have. And there is a path forward for that. And women and people have to be reminded, they have to see that, they have to be encouraged to know that that is a fundamental truth. And as long, I think, as they have that and they can hold that close to them and they see other women doing it, whether it's me or me with another woman or me sharing another woman's journey, I think that that's where the deep empowerment and strength comes from, knowing like she's right. There isn't a reason why I can't surf in this body. There are people that do not have limbs, that do not have any mobility of their body whatsoever, and they still surf. There's really no reason, if you want to go out there and be in the ocean, to limit yourself. You are
Absolutely.
deserving of it all.
If I say I'm going to do something and I believe it, I always do it. I always achieve it when I put that positive mindset. One of the reasons I wanted you to come on here as well is the majority of my following are plus size women. And I want them to come out of their shell and try new things. Like, that's something that I want to do, is like encourage people to try things and don't think you have to wait. Like that video you made was where you said, just do it fat. Like, it doesn't
Yes.
matter, do it now,
Yes.
like why wait? And I shouldn't have waited a year to do it, but I did have like my surgery coming up and stuff, but I still should have went and did it a year ago when I wanted to. Like, that's a whole year I've missed out on something I really want to do, and I should have done it then, and I wish I did, but I'm doing it Saturday.
That's okay. The timing is perfect. Don't even go back in the past and stress about it. You have such a different vantage point and perspective to enjoy it from. You've now seen all this uplifting content and you're finding community, and it's going to be a whole different experience going into it now than maybe even if you would have done it before. You're still going to be amazing. You're still going to be stoked. You're going to have the best time ever.
Thank you so much. Have you ever heard of the wave in Bristol in the UK? It's like a man-made, machine-operated waves,
Oh, like a wave
basically.
pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that they had one over there.
Yeah, so if you ever come to the UK, it's in Bristol, so that's where I'm going. They've got lifeguards. It's like they've got different levels of waves and
Yeah.
everything. So I thought that would be perfect. They even do like night surfs now, so you can go there late at night and it just looks so pretty.
That is extraordinary. You're going to have the time of your life. Just get out there. You know, you'll work your way into the ocean when you feel comfortable. Obviously, there's people that give surf lessons on the beaches too. And that is one of my biggest recommendations. Doing, like, approaching surfing the way you are is such a great entry to the journey of surfing. One of the conversations I've recently had with several women in the surf community is surfing is probably one of the most difficult sports that an adult can decide to participate and learn in at this stage in life. There are
Yeah.
so many components to it. And there is a high rate of like a learning curve. So you have to fail a lot in order to get good. And people
Yeah.
get discouraged because it's like, oh my gosh, I just spent, 3 months of my life trying to learn how to surf, and I'm really no better than when I started. Um, Surfing takes a lot of time, energy, and investment, and you genuinely just have to enjoy the journey of
Yeah.
learning and accepting that this is going to be something that takes time. I have to learn the ocean. I have to learn wave patterns. My body has to adjust and gain new strength in my upper body so that I can paddle and gain endurance. I have to learn the biomechanics of balancing my surfboard and matching it with the timing of a wave to stand up and navigate that. There are so many complexities and components within surfing that require a high level of commitment and relative acceptance with high rates of failure to get from a total beginner to just basic level understanding. I can catch a wave. And a lot of people get hung up on that. And so that's where I try to come in and I'm like, hey guys, it's not because of your body weight. It's not because you're
Hmm.
not capable. This is just hard. We're starting at a level of high difficulty and you're going to have to rise to the occasion. And it's going to take some time to rise to the occasion, but that's okay. Just keep going out. Just keep failing through it. Fall off the board, miss the waves, enjoy the process. You're in the ocean. with your friends, you're with your coach, and continue the journey knowing that, oh, that curvy surfer girl, she said, if I just keep showing up and I keep doing it, one day I'm going to have a breakthrough. And you will 100% will have a breakthrough. And it has nothing to do with your strength, your body weight. It is just a matter of breaking through the learning curve, which takes time and effort in the water, learning the sport, learning the ocean, learning timing, and your own biomechanics on a surfboard.
It's just persistence, isn't it? Like if you really want something, you'll make it happen. It just may take time. That's one thing I was actually going to ask you is how long did it take you to actually get up on your board and surf your first wave?
So, because I had coaches, surf coaches, I was able to progress more quickly than had I ever tried to do this by myself. So day one, I was able to stand up and ride waves because I was receiving land lessons and instruction, and then I could apply those out in the ocean. There was a lot of encouragement. There was assistance as well. Surf coaches will actually help tow you out to the lineup. They will push you in waves. They will put you on boards that are the appropriate size for your body, weight, height, and demographics, so that you can have the most successful experience on a surfboard and in the waves. A lot of people think that I don't know. People ask me a lot about surfboards. I am only 5 feet tall. That 60 inches. It's very short, and I started on an 11-foot board. I mean,
Wow.
that's almost the size of a small house.
It's more than double your height.
More than double that, yeah. And so
Yeah.
people have to realize, like, I've gotten some women over the years that are like, oh, people want to put me on a stand-up paddleboard or a really large surfboard, and I feel targeted, or like, I'm different from the group. What we all have to realize is that our bodies and our biomechanics, whatever we need to learn, are going to be different from someone else who's at a different height, size, or even surf level from us. People could be on different size boards for different reasons. So I always try to remind women, I'm like, look, just go out there with the expectation that your surf coaches have your best interest at heart, and know that they're putting you on the equipment that they believe you're going to have the most success with, rather than looking at it as something to make you a black sheep or an outlier within a group. It's about your journey and your joy and your experience, not everyone else's around you. So that's a big tip that I try to give women exploring surfing for the first time.
When you first started, did you receive any negativity from people in the surf community?
Thankfully, because I started with a surf school, I was surrounded by instructors and really supportive people that just continually were like happy that I was out in the water, extremely encouraging. Even though this was a time when women in my size demographic were not doing this, it's still Hawaii, and Hawaii has a very deep, long-rooted history of surfing. While we weren't seeing it on the internet or in popular media anywhere, um, people of varying ages, body types, you name it, like any and everybody in Hawaii surfs. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of, like, as I was stating, we were not seeing any representation of that in any capacity anywhere. So if you did not physically cross paths with another person that you could see that looked like you wouldn't even know that they existed. There were people in different body types, especially women surfing. You see it a lot with men. Like, there's a much more body diversity in the surf lineups with men. Not today. We've made a lot of progress in the last 5 years, but about 6, 7, 8 years ago, when I first started surfing, you saw it predominantly in the male surf lineup with body diversity. So I knew that it was like possible. I just wasn't seeing it, and it wasn't being reinforced. And it wasn't also being reinforced as a beginner. It's one thing to already know how to surf and then have gained weight. You still have the skill, so you can work around it. Whereas when you're learning at your heaviest weight, every time there's a failure, you can tend to blame yourself and
Yeah.
find reasons why you're not able to do something other people are. And so I would often revert to, oh, the reason why I haven't been able to catch my own waves when they stopped pushing me was because I was in a larger body and it didn't have the strength or it didn't have the flexibility. I came up with all these reasons and I would explain that to my surf coaches. And my coaches were like, absolutely not. This has nothing to do with why you're not catching waves. You've got to time them. You have to keep coming out and building strength. You need to understand, where the waves are forming. You're not in the right spot. And so eventually over time, they were able to deconstruct that mythology that I had built in my mind. So I didn't have any negative experiences personally because of my body size. However, clearly, when we got on the internet,
Oh, yes.
then you have the internet trolls, but that's just par for the course.
You get that, like, literally, no matter what you post, there's always going to be negative people. It doesn't get to me anymore. It used to, but now I'm just like, fuck what anyone else thinks. Like, if I'm loving what I'm doing and it's bringing me joy, why does it matter what anyone else thinks? I'm just so glad I come across your Instagram a year ago because with ADHD, I do pick up new hobbies and stuff like that. But this is the one thing that I've consistently been doing my research. And the only reason I've not gone yet is because I don't live right by a beach. And in the UK, it's not as easy
Sure.
as Hawaii or America. Like, I've never been to the States, so it's a lot warmer there too.
The rest of the country is cold water, but Hawaii is warm water. I mean, I just encourage you to travel though, too. I mean, surfing is a great excuse to travel and do surf retreats and just get to explore the world with a whole new community that you literally will meet you anywhere on the planet where there's an ocean.
Where have you been, like, so far in regards of like surfing and traveling?
So I have been blessed to travel to Indonesia and surf.
Wow.
I just got back from a 2-week trip to Tahiti where I didn't surf there, but I did extensive diving, free diving. And where else have I gone? I've gone all throughout the Hawaiian Islands and surfed. So Maui, Oahu, Kauai, Hawaii Islands. I've got to visit all of those and surf all the various breaks over there. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think of everywhere I've gotten to go. I need to like sit down and map it all out. I got to travel to New York and I surfed in New York. I've traveled up and down the Southern California coastline and surfed there. Um, yeah, I'm sure there's more places that I can't remember right now that I've been, and there's a whole lot more. I would love to see Tofino. I would love to surf Alaska. I would love to go surf Norway, Portugal, Fiji.
Australia?
Australia is a huge part of my list. Puerto Rico, Brazil, Peru, Chicama.
You're going to do it. All of those places you're going to go.
There's
Look what you
so many
achieved.
magical places on the planet with so many extraordinary women that are just waiting with open arms. Sri Lanka is another one. I could go on and on. I love the ocean so much. I love free diving and I love scuba diving and surfing. So anywhere I can do a combination of those activities or surfing or diving and being with wildlife, I am just like, sign me up. I want to be the surfing Steve Irwin of the internet.
Yes.
Like, that's honestly my dream. I just want to be like, let me show you all the beautiful creatures of the ocean. Oh, and let's go catch waves while we're doing it and have cute little outfits to wear. And I'm going to take you on all my journeys. Like, this is really like
Aw.
my heart would just explode if I could be like, a surfing Steve Irwin, like a cute surfing Steve Irwin.
Well, you're putting it out there, so you're going to do it. You're going to go to all the places you want to go. Because look how far you've come already just from starting the curvy surfer movement. Like, you've come so far, and you're definitely going to go to all those places, 100%.
That would be so amazing. And I would love to see, I have a huge following in the UK, and a lot of women have invited me out to go surf with them throughout England and Ireland and Scotland, up and down those coastlines. And it would just be such a privilege to meet everybody.
You could like do a meet at the wave as well.
I'm so here for it. I swear, like the next large, you know, incoming check of money, I am going to just plan like a curvy surfer girl around the world type vibe. Like, I'm so ready to just keep meeting curvy surfer girls. It's such an extraordinary community of women. They're all very similar to you. they're so kind and passionate and highly educated, intelligent, wonderful women that are just a gift to humanity. And I feel so privileged that all of them have gathered on this online community and platform to continue supporting the vision that I have for the movement, and then being a force that we can use to leverage against injustices in the surf industry or ocean sports industry.
When people ask who do you look up to, it's like people like you that make a difference, and you've made a difference to so many other women and given so many people the courage to think, I can do this, she's doing it. Like for me, I probably wouldn't have even considered doing it if I hadn't have seen your videos. So like it may just be a quick like video for you to post, but to so many other people, as you know, it's changing their worlds too. So you should be so proud of yourself.
Thank you. I really I give all the credit at the end of the day back to the ocean. I received the idea while I was in the ocean, and I feel like the ocean blessed me with this opportunity to just be a vessel, for something greater than myself, and to be able to connect other women that are passionate and love the ocean back to the ocean. And I'm grateful that I have been the vessel that has been chosen and honored to do that. And I want to bring so many women along with me. We have even more plus size women creating surf content now. So it's really becoming a lot more normalized than it ever has been in the past. Every year that goes by, there's a new like surf content creator that's coming online that wants to share their plus size journey with surfing, or their plus size journey with diving, or even just their body positive perspectives about being in the ocean. Maybe it's a new mother, maybe it's someone who, like yourself, has gone through drastic appearance changes and are finding themselves again and finding their confidence. There's so many women that are struggling with the body image crisis on every level of the spectrum, that can really be a very big preventative psychological obstacle to getting into the water. And so as I continue to do this for now, approaching half a dozen years, it's just an honor and privilege to see that the impact has created a ripple, and more women are espousing that idea and starting their own platforms and communities, and sharing that message of hope and inspiration.
That is amazing. I keep gushing and saying, like, you should be so proud, but you should.
You're so gracious. I'm gonna turn this light on so that you can actually see me, because it's getting dark here in Hawaii.
I never do like live streaming because with my ADHD, I sometimes will either ramble if I've got brain fog, or I'll be like, what was I saying? And I'll completely go off what I was going to say.
I think you're doing an amazing job, and you have nothing to stress about.
Completely like that. You're ADD, right? Not ADHD.
I'm not diagnosed, but I definitely fit the profile.
I only got diagnosed May last year. I knew I had it before the diagnosis. You just
Yeah.
know, don't you?
I'm pretty confident I do have that. It's very hard to stay focused and
There's like never a quiet moment in this brain.
no.
I'm always thinking of ideas and wanting to put things out there, but I don't have the time to do all the ideas.
Yes,
What I
there.
was going to ask is, how do you stay motivated with that? Is that the one thing that you've been consistent with in regards of like hobbies and stuff like that?
I am genuinely ocean obsessed. It doesn't get any more ocean obsessed than me. Like for the last 8 years of my life, I have consistently been in the ocean at a bare minimum of 3 days a week or more for 8 years of my life. Now that I get to do Curvy Surfer Girl full time for the last like 4 years of my life, I am in the ocean anywhere from 5 to 7 days a week. My skin is like living proof of it. So like whenever I talk about skincare or lotions or creams or whatever, I'm like, y'all, I'm like endorsing this. I am in the salt water all the time.
Does it like really dry your skin out?
Yeah, and on top of it, the autoimmune disease I have is psoriasis. And so it's funny that you were talking about mermaid scales, because check this out. I always say you've met a real mermaid because I have scales.
Oh my goodness, you do.
I literally have them.
I literally have a mermaid blanket right here.
See?
I'm literally
I am
mermaid
too.
obsessed. Literally, since I was little, I wanted to live in the sea. And I think I have that same feeling that you experience, like where you feel like the ocean's calling you. I just didn't know
Yes.
what it was calling me to do. And like, obviously, I couldn't become a mermaid. That's impossible.
Oh, not really. There are professional mermaids now. That is a whole career field. Did you see that Netflix documentary on that?
Yeah, but
That
they're
was
like
wild.
in the tanks and everything.
Yes.
Like, I do believe there is some sort of creature out there that is like a mermaid, but just doesn't look human. There must be.
The ocean is so unexplored. It's less explored than space.
Yeah.
So to rule out that there are creatures we don't know about in the ocean is pretty preposterous. We have explored so little of the ocean that they are still finding brand new creatures every day, anytime they do deep sea dive expeditions, anytime anyone's out in the water for too long. I mean, it's a vast space, both horizontally and depth-wise. So I would not be surprised.
Speaking of creatures, have you ever encountered any sharks when you've been surfing?
Thankfully, not while surfing, and I am quite grateful for that. They maybe have been hanging out with me and I didn't know it, which also ignorance is bliss. It is my motto in life. Like the older I get, I'm like, no, no, truly, like you don't need to let me know.
Yeah, I'd
Ignorance
rather
is
not know.
bliss. Hawaii does have a healthy population of sharks. I mean, it could be, truthfully, it could be significantly better. Our shark population has declined drastically,
Mm.
and they are so critical for healthy reefs. And as we all know, we need reefs to surf. That is how the waves are forming off of the ocean. The sharks are really critical to having healthy reef systems. So I always am just aware of my environment. And, I'm cautious of when I decide to go out. Like I try and avoid harbors. That's where fishermen come in and they could be dragging fish guts behind the boat, and then that attracts sharks,
Bait, yeah.
get into their feeding frenzies. And then the juvenile sharks could accidentally mistake surfers as seals or turtles. So, you kind of have to use your context clues. And then at the end of the day, there's also just an element of surrender that has to happen. If it's your time, it's your time. If something's going to happen, there's nothing you can do to prevent it. And every time you get in the ocean, there is a invisible contract you sign that I am going into this big blue thing with things that can kill me, whether it be the actual ocean itself or creatures within it. As long as you're precautious, like don't swim in murky water. You know what I mean? Like don't paddle out in murky water. If it's just rained and there's extremely low visibility, like don't invite the activity that you don't want, right? Like be wise about when you're going out there. Have oceanic mentors. Talk to a lifeguard, talk to a surf coach, people who've lived there their whole life, and just be like, hey, after all of the things I've learned, is today a good day to paddle out? Or listen to your instincts. Women have powerful instincts. Don't ignore those instincts. Those instincts are there for a reason. You may have recognized a pattern in your subconscious mind that your consciousness didn't pick up on, which is why you're being nervous. You just trust yourself, trust your knowledge, trust the people that you've asked to mentor you. And at the end of the day, when you do go out, simply surrender, knowing that you're most likely 99% of the time going to be in a safe situation. And if anything happens, that there are people around you that are going to jump into action to help you in the event of an emergency or crisis, whether that's lifeguards or other surfers. And that's life. We all get in our cars every day,
Yeah.
and we have a higher likelihood of getting in a car accident and being irreparably damaged from that than we do pretty much any other activity in our human life.
Yeah, that is facts. Like, you have way more chance of like getting hit by a car walking across the road than encountering a shark when you're surfing. And it's something you love and brings you joy. Mental health is something I've always struggled with, but when I'm near the sea, makes me feel better. I'm guessing it's the same for you, like being near the ocean. When you have down days, does that draw you more to go into the sea, or do you like not do it if you're feeling down? Like, how does that work with you?
That's an excellent question. So I also have struggled immensely with mental health because I came from a high trauma background. I was a foster child and just had a very violent upbringing. So I also have struggled with extreme depression, panic attacks, anxiety, and I talk about it on Curvy Surfer Girl too, because I think it's important that people know that they're not alone. I think
Yeah.
something like I think I read recently, and don't quote me on this, but somewhere around 70% of the world population is dealing with depression and anxiety. It is just so common with how our societies are structured and the amount of information that is constantly being processed by our brains, the expectations, the list can go on and on. But we are definitely in an epidemic or even a pandemic of humanity being in a high depression, high anxiety state across the board. So, anybody listening to this know that there is no shame around saying this, admitting this, and that honestly, probably 1 out of every 2 people you meet are in a nearly identical psychological state of mind to you.
Yeah. Humans, we're not meant to be sitting at desks and sitting still. We're meant to be constantly on the go. So, with you surfing nearly 7 days a week now, has it improved your mental health because you're always active?
Yes, so I do everything in my power to be out in the ocean, whether I'm having anxiety attacks, panic attacks, depression. And the way that I have learned to navigate having pretty extreme levels of depression at times, mine can be cyclical. I ask people to help support me during those times. I ask people if I absolutely need to, will you come pick me up and help me get to the ocean if my gut thing has gone to a state where it wants to collapse? I text people and I just simply ask for help or support in any way that I could possibly have it. I ask people, I will just, now I've gotten very wise and I'm so self aware of the depression cycles or the anxiety cycles that I can openly and honestly communicate with the closest people, including my surf coaches in my life, and say, hey, right now I've been experiencing high levels of depression or anxiety. Will you please help encourage me to get out into the ocean this week? Because I may not have the personal strength to will myself out of bed or to will myself to the ocean. Can you assist me in getting there by calling me, reminding me, setting up a surf date with me? And that is such a powerful way to ask people to support you. And people are so more than willing and happy to do that. And when you get in the ocean, it does cleanse you. There's something going on with the amount of stimulus that the brain needs combined with a calm environment and the sounds, right? There's low sound. So it's just the right amount of like stimulation and calmness. I call it like moving meditation. Whether you're surfing or diving, both of these can be a form of moving meditation, which can reset the parasympathetic nervous system and just give your brain time to decompress. So yes, anytime a human goes in the ocean, I strongly suspect they will come out with an endorphin rush or an endorphin boost that will counteract the effects of depression, anxiety, ADHD, whatever's going on.
Yeah, because ADHD, like, it's the lack of dopamine, and exercise and surfing that gives you that dopamine that you're lacking. I'm learning now. Like, the reason I overate and had like binge eating disorder and everything was because I had undiagnosed ADHD and I was getting like my dopamine fix from food. I just can't wait now to like start this next journey.
And you're going to do so amazing with it. And you've chosen something that is so grounding and supportive because as you go through the challenges of learning this, you're going to build new neural pathways and new neuroplasticity. It's going to make you more resilient because you are going to have to overcome high levels of challenge again and again and again which is going to build that resistance and new dopamine pathways for you. So surfing is such an extraordinary way to do that, because you will have victories and wins, and then the challenges as you're rising to meet the occasion are going to strengthen your brain as well. I try to think back to when I was a beginner surfer and starting out and what was so helpful for me. Just continue knowing that you are capable of doing this in whatever place you are in your life. Age is not a limiting factor. Your body size is not a limiting factor. Even injuries or varying degrees of disability physically or even psychologically are truly not obstacles for you to get into the ocean. It's just merely the ocean asking you to find an indirect pathway to get into the water. And as long as you look at it like that, and you're looking for people that are motivating and encouraging, and you're following people on platforms that are continuing to reinforce this self confidence and self empowered beliefs, you're going to do outstanding. And I am your cheerleader. I am rooting for you. I'm rooting for everyone's success and stoke and joy that wants to have it out in the ocean or wherever you are extracting that in life. So that's definitely one of my big takeaways. Also, if you have any questions about resources for surfing, whether that be size related questions about wetsuits, swimsuits, surfboards, happy to be a resource to any and everybody that I can be.
So your website is
Curvysurfergirl.com, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all Curvy Surfer Girl. Just, hang out on there. And there's other plus size surfers on Curvy Surfer Girl that I've highlighted throughout the account and will continue to highlight, when it fits into the content cycle creation schedule. So just know, like, even if you don't relate to me at this stage in this size of my body, I can direct you to darn near anybody and everybody that could give you inspiration or show you why and how it's possible. So I'm more than honored to be a resource in any capacity for anybody that wants to be in the ocean.
honestly, I just can't wait for people to listen to this and just get that motivation and think, I'm going to do it. There's a massive community online, people that have had bariatric surgery. It's quite crazy, actually, when you think about it, how many people do undergo that.
Yes.
But just them hearing this and seeing everything you've achieved, I just can't wait for them to get the confidence and go and do it as well. And hopefully, I can host some surf meets at the wave.
Such a wonderful idea to encourage other women in a very similar set of circumstances that are dealing with similar challenges to embrace them and love on each other.
I'm going to surf with you one day. I'm just putting that out there.
I am receiving it and I'm visualizing it, and we're going to do it, whether it's in Hawaii or the UK. Let's make it happen.
Preferably Hawaii, because I would love to go there one day.
You can absolutely make it out to Hawaii, and it would be so worth it. Like, Waikiki is the home of surfing. It's one of the most beautiful long waves you could ever surf. So coming out here, maybe next year, at any time of the year, really, it's perfect year round, would be so phenomenal.
Next year will probably be perfect because my daughter she's only 3. She's not been on a plane yet. So maybe when she's 4, that would probably be like a better age for her to understand, like sit down on the plane. So next year, I'm definitely going to try and come. I'm putting it
Oh,
out
you
there.
would
It's
just,
going to happen.
you'd love it so much.
I probably won't want to leave.
That is a very common vibe. But you know what? Bali isn't very far from you, and Morocco isn't very far from you,
Yes.
and Portugal isn't very far from you. And those are also amazing places to go and surf.
One of my friends is actually going to Bali on Saturday for her honeymoon, and her wife are going to be learning to surf there. They're going for a whole month to Bali. I'm just like loving that for them. I'm just going to make sure that they send me loads of pictures and everything. When you're actually in the sea and you get your content, do you use like drones or like GoPros? Like, how do you get your content when you are surfing?
It is all of the above. I have drone professionals. I have the surf coaches do my follow alongs with GoPros. That's where they surf right next to me and ride the wave, and then they're holding a GoPro. I have videographers and photographers that swim out with their water housings and they photograph from the lineup where they're sitting in the water. What else? I mean, I've tried to self film, but because our waves are pretty strong, other people do a much better job at this than I do. I busted my whole mouth open attempting to film myself surfing.
Oh no.
Uh, and after that happened, I was just like, you know what? It's really not worth it for me.
No.
I am trying to navigate a 9'6" surfboard and a camera. You're trying to hold it in your mouth, and then you're going over these big, like 4-foot powerful waves, like hitting your board. And one time my board came back, which normally isn't an issue, but when you've got a huge piece of equipment coming out of your mouth, the board hit the equipment and almost busted my teeth out. And I was like, I don't need to do this. I
You nearly had
need
dentures.
no, literally. So I decided after I busted my whole mouth open trying to do that, you know what? That's not for me. You know what? I'll leave that to the other girls that clearly can do that and just accept that that's not for me. And I will ask people to come out and help me make the content.
Thank you so, so much for coming on. I am going to let you go now because you've had a busy day and you need rest and to recuperate. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much for having me. And give me an update after your surf lesson. You're going to do so great.
I'll send you some pictures.
Oh, please do. I'm so excited for you. It's going to be such a dream come true.
Thank you again so much for coming
Of
on.
course. Thank you.
Bye.
Aloha and good night.
Good night.